Hey, hello, Aloha School. It's Mrs. Kazana. I'm going to show you some final touches I'm going to add to my Sight is Beautiful poster. I filled in a lot of rich color by using my crayons again in layers, like I showed you last time. Now I'm going to add a little bit of texture to my sky. I am using the same blue crayon that I used on the side to fill in these big areas. Now I'm going to go back in, and there's some areas where it's kind of light still. I'm going to use those to make some pretty clouds. So I'm just going to go back in, and I'm kind of gonna, they kind of look like clouds already. I'm just gonna kind of highlight the parts that are a little bit paler. I see some over here that could be kind of cool. Over here. Okay, and I'm gonna use these areas to turn them into clouds. And the way that I'm gonna do that, now that I kind of outlined them, I'm just gonna make the sky behind them a little darker to increase the contrast between these two areas. So I'm going back in with my crayon on the edge this time, and I'm going to darken these areas a little bit, working kind of lightly with the edge of my crayon. And I'm just kind of darkening these spots to make it look like there's a cloud there. I didn't even draw it in with my pencil. I'm kind of cheating like afterwards with the effects that the crayon already made. Here I have a little bit of a mistake. I have some places where the orange smudged outside of where I want my sail to be. So I'm going to see if I can kind of cover that up with this darker blue crayon. I don't really want that to be there. You can still see it a little bit, but it's not nearly as noticeable. And I don't need to start over. I don't need to get my eraser. I don't need to freak out. I just need to add something on top of it. That's often the way it goes. Okay. So then I'm just going to keep working this to add some details to this sky. I want the boat to have that same contrast, so I'm going to go back in with this darker color right here. And beautiful artwork often has these areas of darks and lights. So I'm going to try and increase the contrast between the sky and the waves, between the boat, all these different shapes. I'm going to try and make them stand out a little bit by adding more layers of color. You can do the same thing regardless of what medium you're using. So if you're using colored pencils, you can do the same thing. Same thing with oil pastels. They're smudgy and a little bit more temperamental, but you can do the same thing. You can add layers. Same thing is true with paint too. So this is how artists work. They start with big areas and then they get work into finer and finer details. And something I would say about a poster contest like this one is actually you don't need a whole lot of detail. What you're going for is one big striking image so that immediately when you look at it you think, Sight is beautiful. That's the message of this poster. You don't need lots of little teeny tiny details so much as you might want to go for one big bold image. Okay? Thanks for watching. I'm excited to see what you're coming up with.